Welcome to the Evolution Magazine live series. It is February 18th, year 2021, and we are broadcasting live from Happy Rock Farms in Kansas City, Missouri. Tonight's show is hosted by Eric McSwain of the Missouri Cannabis Industry Association with guests LaVaughn Hamilton of V9 Grows 420 and Roz McCarthy with Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Tonight's topic is about minorities in the cannabis industry, and they will also be providing outdoor grow advice. Our show will get underway in just a few moments, but first, a word from our sponsors. The Missouri Cannabis Industry Association has been our longest-running show sponsor, while providing quality education over many topics in partnership with area cannabis professionals. MCIA is dedicated to a free cannabis market to create supplies and prices that are patient-friendly, with initiatives to support adult-use cannabis, to protect home growers' rights, and expand the caregiving program. Go to mocia.org to learn about memberships, to learn about their certified caregiving program, and learn how to get involved. Thank you, MCIA, for being a show sponsor. Cannabis Care Team. Our mission is to provide qualifying patients with the education, support, and advocacy they need to experience the medical benefits of cannabis and consume it safely. We work tirelessly to have a positive impact on the lives of others and achieve our mission by providing education to both patients and the industry. Visit CannabisCareTeam.com or give us a call today. Cannabis Care Team, education before medication. Relief Resources Dispensary, located in Grandview, Missouri.
Welcome to your relief.
Now open 7 days a week, providing patients with quality medicine as well as accessories for patients and home cultivators, with a qualified staff to guide you on your cannabis journey. Visit reliefmo.com for product menu and patient resource information.
Hi, this is Doc Mack. We're here at Relief Resources Dispensary. We have a full selection of very fine flower, edibles, infused beverages, AGG infuser machines for you home cultivators, cookbooks, and a whole variety of support materials. So look us up at reliefmo.com. Check us out, like us, share with your friends. We'll get you taken care of.
Tonight's video is provided by Cat King Films. Check this out. Cat King Films is offering promotional content, commercials, training videos, wedding videos, and documentary-style video production at an affordable price. A free consultation comes with every project to ensure that it is personalized to your brand. Check out previous projects by exploring the different sections on the newly launched website at catkingfilms.com.
Hello, Evolution friends and family. Welcome to another show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are shooting live here from Happy Rock Farms on Main Street in Kansas City. We have some amazing guests lined up tonight. Our special guest tonight, they're all special, by the way. I don't want to say one's more special than the other, but Roz McCarthy from Minorities for Medical Marijuana. She's the CEO and founder of that organization. I've had the chance to see her speak multiple times, several years ago, before COVID and the lockdown. Really amazing woman. It's just such a pleasure to have her on our show tonight. Also, Eric McSwain with MCIA is going to be hosting this show. You guys know him. I don't even really need to introduce him. He's just leftover meat that you all want to eat. I don't know, right? So... Also, LaVaughn Hamilton is here, first-time guest. We're all a big fan of his. I met LaVaughn a long time ago. Whenever we first started the magazine, I barely even knew what I was doing at that time as far as the magazine goes. And at that time, LaVaughn came to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm a new grower. I want to be featured." And I was like, "Your story doesn't matter." I apologize for that. I'm so sorry, LaVaughn. At the time, I was probably frustrated with lots of other people asking me things like that. But he said he paved his own way, though, and he went and started his own live streaming channel to document his own learning process on growing cannabis at home. And has created a large following and has really paved the way to help other patients here in Missouri to learn how to grow as they're watching him learn how to grow. Obviously, he's kind of surpassed the original phase and he's gone to like a master grower level, but well, he's on his way there. So thanks to him, thanks to LaVaughn for being here tonight. Real quick shout out to our sponsors. Cannabis Care Team, April Hatch and Heidi, they're doing some amazing things in the community. They're training dispensary staff on how to be good bud tenders. If you have a loved one that is apprehensive about trying cannabis, especially older ones that are potentially going to use it to supplement some of their pharmaceutical prescriptions, they can help guide them through that. So the Cannabis Care Team, thanks for sponsoring. And then, of course, MCIA. We love you guys. They started this wonderful patient caregiver program. If you're a patient looking for a patient caregiver or vice versa, they will help you out. They will help you get the contracts together. They'll help make it all legit. They have a training program all set up for people who are interested in learning how to be the best patient caregiver that you can be here in the state. So check them out online. And then Relief Resources, their dispensary is in Grandview. Doc Mack, he's one of the few medical marijuana doctors here in the state that does certifications for minors because he, what's the word? He's a, Doctor of osteopathy. Okay, there you go. So thank you. I don't know if you can hear him. It was a big word. I won't try to repeat it. But Doc Mack is doing great things in the community. We have 2 free gift cards to Relief Resources. Relief Resources we're giving away tonight. So just tag a friend in the comments. You can tag as many friends as you would like. Each time you get entered in to win that. Also, LaVaugh's got some beans he's going to be giving away tonight. He'll be talking about that here shortly. We got a little slight camera problem here, but we're going to fix that lickety-split. So LaVaughn has some beans he's going to give away. Oh, yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Why don't we go ahead and pitch it over to the guys here and get this show rolling?
Got 5 beans right here, you guys. Eat those. Cheesy Poofs is the strain. Eat those.
Tag somebody.
Tag somebody. Tag. Here's how you enter this giveaway. Tag somebody and just comment.
That's right.
You're entered.
That's right.
I'm going to come back and take the link and do the giveaway on my page for these.
Cheesy Poofs.
Got you. Cheesy Poofs from Ethos.
That's
5
right.
beans.
That's right. I'm Eric McSwain. On the line with us, Roz. I hope you're into having fun. You look like a rock star. How you doing?
Total rock star.
She's ready. Well, all right. I want to hear that story. I want to hear that story right here beside me. We didn't have a proper introduction. What do you go by?
Y'all already know it's your boy. It's your motherfucking boy. V9 Grows 420. Check it out. Shout out to St. Louis. V9Grows420.com. Don't forget, get all your merch on there.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
Where did that come from?
Oh man, so I don't tell this story a lot because I kind of keep this part to myself. But I came up with the tagline, like "What up, what up, what up?" That's actually from Martin. For those who watched Martin back in the day. So I took that line from him. And then it's your boy, it's your boy, it's your motherfucking boy was kind of something I used myself because the incantation of the word boy back in the day was kind of negative. So I took the power back from it by using it as my catchphrase. So and I love it, and it's a tagline now, and people love it, and my viewers love it, my friends love it, my family love it, and so that's kind of how I started my journey.
That's amazing. And that's the stories we want to hear. You know what I mean? That's what we got to hear.
Absolutely.
And Roz, you've got a story to tell too. I mean, I don't know how you look so good after 7 o'clock. First of all, how do you do that?
You look great.
Exactly. Listen. Listen. A little work in. I've been getting in today. I'm in Orlando, Florida. Shout out to all my folks in Missouri. All my in-laws are there, and good friends are there, and people have been a part of our group camp. So shout out to all the Missouri folks. I love you guys. And yeah, I'm Roz McCarthy, founder and CEO of Minorities Medical Marijuana. I ain't got a tagline, so I got to work on my own little tagline thing coming in. But
I can hook you up.
To be here tonight with you guys.
I can hook you up.
That's amazing. And now you're a founder.
You got me?
I got you.
You're a founder, right? Yeah. Like how did that start? What gave you the vision and the motivation?
Well, the vision is, really is seeing, everything that happens in life, there is some type of historical perspective or historical moment in our past that you can either see some type of symmetry or see some type of connection there. And I've been doing work in the healthcare industry for 25 plus years. I've been working and fighting for health equity opportunities. And so I wasn't a consumer of the plant. It just, for me, it was two things. My son has sickle cell anemia, and my mom was passed away in 2005 from cancer. And so for me, it was just, understanding that we have this new industry, knowing that Black folks have been disproportionately left out, knowing that now you're going to start talking about, hey, here's a plant that you can use for medicine. However, you got communities that have been basically disproportionately, targeted. And so I said, well, you know what, let's create a nonprofit that really focuses on these issues. And I literally just on my sofa came up with a concept, came up with the name, did some research. And 5 years ago, come May 10th, I started M for MM. And I've just been blessed, man.
I love it.
That's great. That's wow.
It's an amazing story. Now, so at this point, you're pretty much a student of, cannabis policy nationwide, and you've probably looked at everything everywhere as far as you can tell. What are you seeing in terms of trends and that sort of thing?
If we look at, I put together a map, and it's a map that looks at the state for all of the U.S. states or what have you. And if you look at those U.S. states, you have over 33 medical programs. You have over 11 adult use programs. And I will just tell you this, that you're going to see a trend. We can show you from the numbers that people they're more open to cannabis use. They're more open to the conversation. We're going to see more states come online with medical programs. We're going to see more states like Missouri. So y'all get ready, because in the next year or so, you're going to be talking about becoming an adult use state. And so with those trends, we also got to look at the economic trends. We need to put together a plan, a succinct plan that's going to make sure that this market doesn't lock out a group of people and a community of people, especially those that have been most impacted. So, literally, we are going to see the trajectory for the growth of this industry is going up, and the trend is going to stay up, in my opinion.
Right. And now what are you seeing as, that major contributing factor to locking out groups of folks? Is there a particular reason for that in terms of policy or?
Well, shit. Let's just keep it real. The people that got in first, the folks that got in first were in Colorado. They know what the heck they were doing. They were like, all right, there's a license here. I'm about to get my boy. I smoke weed. Can you grow some weed? Can you grow some weed? All right, we're gonna go after this license. It wasn't any competition. They were like, all right, you got a license, and you just try to figure it out. And what ends up happening is you end up putting people on that's in your peer group. So if your peer group doesn't look like someone that comes from my community, I don't think there's there has been some systemic racism issues that we see in the industry, of course. But initially, you may see people that was just going and pulling their people and like, okay, we're going to figure out how to do this. And we don't know what the fuck we're doing, but we're just going to figure it out. We get the license. And then once you figure it out and once you go through the ups and downs of it, when you start turning on your friends and other investors into it, you're still tapping into your business community, into your peer group. And some people, like back in the 2012, 13, 14, the social equity conversation was not as robust as it is right now. The magnifying glass on how you can have an industry that was targeting communities of color, and now the industry economically is not allowing those people to get into the industry. Wow. Now policymakers have gotten involved. So policymakers, again, kind of skittish. So they put policy in place that locks out people that have been incarcerated, which any other business, you don't lock me out. I can start my lawn business. Doesn't mean that I can't be in it. So, you feel me, right?
I feel you. Hey, you preach to the choir on that one.
You shaking your head. Tell them I'm not by myself. It's a reality.
Not by yourself. Without question, she's not by herself. It's one of those things that bothers me because it's like people of color started this industry, whether it be black market or whatever it may be. But it feels like we were only brought in to be in the business of going to jail, and I think that's unfair. That's highly unfair. When we're
right.
policed 6 times the amount for it, our sentences are higher for less amounts at that. Come on, some of this stuff is a bit asinine, and I think it takes a collective group of people to come forward of all walks of life to get this issue resolved, but it takes all of us to work together to get it done.
Yep. Yeah, and this conversation reminds me.
It has to be done.
Go ahead, Roz.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You got the floor.
No, I was just going to say, just piggyback on that, you have an industry and a market that now is starting to get some legs and become mature, and we have so much catching up to do because really the numbers show that we only have between a 4 to 5% equity ownership in the industry from a touching plant perspective. So mind you, it'll never be fair. Because you now have consolidation.
You have people's hands up high, like what the hell is going on? That right there, that number alone people should be up in arms, like right now, like just because of that number alone. Right. That's horrible. That is horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Right. And it takes operators, again, creating opportunities and doors to enter. It's not all touching plant. There's the ancillary side, but also even if you look at the workforce. I know there's some multi-state operators, and God bless y'all, but you guys know that the inside of your doors, the inside of your manufacturing processing center, the inside of your dispensaries, come on now. Come on. We could
my chuckle pretty much answers that question. I'm like, yeah, I noticed the same thing too. I noticed that quite heavily, and I that's highly unfair.
I've taken a tour. I've seen
ownership.
For myself. I've been able to be like, and it makes you pause because you're like, this is not synonymous to what our, to the communities that we live in. And, and there's no more excuse of I can't find, I don't know where to go. That's why you have organizations like M4MM where, you know what, if you make cannabis. If you want to have a diverse workforce, then go to community-based organizations who are in this industry and say, hey, I need some help. Can you point us in the right direction? Can you give us some tips? Can you help us to be able to create an infrastructure? Give us advice on how do we recruit the best of the best and not just entry-level bud tenders. That's some BS. Like, don't just put us in an entry-level position. We have some master brains out here that can be CEOs, COOs, CFOs, director of human resource, so I can go on for days, but I'll let you ask me the question.
No, that's perfect. These are all things that need to be talked about. Let's not be shy about it.
Yeah.
Let's just say it. I'm a disabled veteran, so my status is a little more, it's not seen so much. But, there's a similar thing in that category because, sometimes our disabilities aren't real visible. And our disadvantages aren't necessarily visible, right? But this conversation too about, past felony offenses, that sort of thing, it reminds me of some good friends we have at the Canna Convicts Project. You guys should definitely stick around, okay? Don't go anywhere because we're going to get a message from them here in about 40 minutes that I think you really want to hear. It's going to be a good story. So So Roz, tell me, we've talked about, I recognize there's a problem. I don't think you have to prove to me that there's a problem. You don't have to. Let's talk about the upside. Let's talk about the solutions. How, okay, so you're queen for the day, and you get to decide how we make our adult use policy here in Missouri. What's happening? How's that going down?
It's actually really good.
What?
I like this scenario.
Come on.
I like this.
Tell me about it.
You like that? Okay, so first can I give, all right, so there's some people there in Missouri. I mean, we know that you guys still have some challenges, but, we have John over with, gosh, I can't even think of John's last name yet, but long story short, the way that the state of Missouri put together your medical program in regards to how you allocated licenses, I will give you a 2 thumbs up for not being so narrow in where you ended up having very few outlets, and you had people fighting for those outlets. The fact that you had these 8 congressional districts, and you were identified that we're going to have 24 retail outlets in each 8 congressional districts. The fact that you looked at having processing plants throughout the state and not just in one area or just like 1 or 2. The fact that you had cultivation, opportunities throughout the state, and they were in double-digit numbers, not too, like the state of Florida has 15 licenses. That's it.
Wow.
And they're all vertical. Well, I mean, there's 21, but there's 15 that's operational, and that's to serve 21 million people for the state of Florida. So first, kudos to what Missouri did, but you can do more. So if the adult use program, if that language was coming up now, what I would want to see is one, from an adult use perspective, take the 8 congressional districts, double the amount that you did for the medical program, and then allocate 50-50, 50% social equity, minority-owned businesses, 50% for your other populated areas. And I'm sorry, it's in the words of Killer Mike, it's what's fair is fair. We ain't asking for more, we're not asking for less. We're just saying
Killer Mike.
You gotta love Killer Mike. We're just asking for, if we're going to try to repair the harm that was done, and if we're serious about it, and no disrespect to the veterans, no disrespect to any business person, but this industry was built on the back of Black people, specifically Black men who were targeted. So let's give an opportunity. Let's make it plain and intentional, so you don't have to figure out, well, are we trying to do it? No, we got 155 licenses. 75 of those licenses are going to be earmarked towards social equity and minority business participation. If you got 75, and those 75, you only have 50 that are really ready. The other 25 are put on hold until you get 25 more that come through the pipeline. So, and nobody else, and none of these really weird kind of,
I said, take it a step further.
Throw
in some special grants for people who have approved applications.
I'm not even done. I'm not even
done.
That's the other thing.
Keep it rolling.
Because we also listen. If you look at the tax revenue that's generated, freaking Colorado did over $500 million in tax revenue with their adult use and their medical program. So we know that the tax revenue is generated. So we want to see that tax revenue that's generated. I'm not going to say half. A fourth of that goes towards the social equity program. So you have grants, and then you have interest-free loans that are going to feed the pipeline of those social equity businesses. So you literally, when you come into a room, I went to a Missouri, I think it was the Missouri Cannabis Industry Association. I went to one of their events before the medical program was implemented. And I was one of maybe 7 Black people in the room. And it was atrocious. That should not be. This should be an industry that is really open, and that you see in the diverse, communities being involved and being able to participate.
Yep.
Wow. I didn't even know that. Actually, I went to I think it was before the law even went into effect. I went to a MoCan trade event at the airport, and I felt the same way.
Yep.
I felt I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That's where I got my Keith hat from. You see me wear the Keith hat? It was Keith hats all over town. I love the hat, but I felt the same way, exactly the same way.
And how can we? Because our events, the MCIA events, I'm not going to be shy. Our events too were largely underrepresented. So I would be very interested to know too your thoughts after we're going to get done with adult use first, but we want to come back and understand how to make those events, those education events, more attractive to a broader audience as well. That's huge. It's part of our mission, education with MCIA. So if we're missing a segment of the population, that we're not doing our job right, right? So anyway, so let's go back to adult use. So you talked about, okay, let's go more. Let's go more licenses and a distribution.
Licenses.
Yep.
Distribution tax revenue, right? Some of that tax revenue also, so that tax revenue also put into communities that have been most impacted in order to do some community engagement and also, reinvesting in those communities. Mm-hmm. And I think if we saw tax dollars that was coming from cannabis to reinvest in those communities, from sidewalk improvement but very specifically those targeted communities. If you see a whole block that was a hot block, and that block has torn down houses or what have you, it has just, that it needs some love. Why can't we have some money put in place, hire the people to give the community some love, clean it up, to clear out houses that are dilapidated, mow the grass. If you give the love to the community will give you the love back. But it takes resources, it takes money. And if that's not in the budget for the state, then what we should be able to identify those hot areas that were most impacted based upon police records. And if there's 10 hot areas that we can identify, let's say in the greater St. Louis area, then those 10 areas should be, when we get cannabis money that's coming through the pipeline, we should go back and put some in love on those communities. And trust me, when you love on communities, you'll see the economics 101 will show you that if you give the love and you give the opportunity, that the community will adapt and they will receive it. And you will see that it will change even the mindset, it will change the attitude, it will change everything. And so I just think that this industry has an opportunity to do some really beautiful things. And so those would be the three things from adult use. So it's the licensing, it's the social equity, funding, support. That means technical writing support, business planning support, grants, loans, and then community reinvestment. How do we reinvest back into the community? And then the other thing I would say is that, and I don't know if it's for the adult use or just in general, I would love to see a focus on creating opportunities to do contracting, subcontracting, supplier support for those minority and veteran-owned businesses who are have no thought of touching the plant, but they have a service that they can offer the industry and get them in the pipeline. Let's spread the wealth a little bit. Let's get these businesses and have them be able to participate in doing what they do. So if you are a carpenter or electrician, when you're building out these new retail centers, let's give these small businesses the opportunity to succeed.
Yep,
that's dope.
I think it's a good picture.
That's
a good picture now. And in terms of the licensing, what if we do away with that piece and we just make it, $2,500, do what you got to do?
Like the Oklahoma model. I'm with it.
Is that good? Because can you get in on that?
Heck yeah. Come on, V9 Grows 420 LLC will be popping next week. So, I'm telling you.
But does that level the playing field, Roz? Seriously, does that level the playing field?
It makes a difference because the Oklahoma model, what it does is, from a licensing perspective, it takes out those barriers. So from a social equity, if you have a business or if you have a medical program or an adult use program that's similar to Oklahoma. So for those that don't know, Oklahoma has a population of 5 million people. Over 500,000 people have a medical card. They have over 2,000 dispensaries or cultivators in the state that are licensed in the state. There's no caps. It's a free and open market. So if you fill out your application, if you meet the requirements, and if you pay your application fee and your permit fee, you will get licensed and you'll be able to start your dispensary and then also your cultivation, whatever area you choose to be in. I like the model. I think Oklahoma has shown that it can work. I still want to be able to designate those tax revenue towards social equity. So let's say, for example, that you are identified as social equity, where your fee it may not be $2,500, maybe it's $1,500. Then maybe there is some money put aside for you from a business development perspective. Maybe there's some money for you for infrastructure that from a grant perspective. So if you need a new point of service, a point of sale system, and you may be short of those resources, there's money that's set aside for social equity to really be able to get what they need, put it in play, and get their business up and going. So those would be the things to think about. The tax revenue that's generated, where are you going to put those dollars?
I love it. Wow. She nailed about just about everything I was gonna hit. But she did it so. What do you guys think? So much better than I would have. Way better than I would have. So.
Wow. Don't you think? What's on the? Do you think like my concern? I never thought in a million years Oklahoma would be. It's the wild, wild west of cannabis.
Never,
right?
Never in a million years.
And mind you, and shout out to Deshita Dawson, because Deshita in 2000 and I think it was 2017 or 18. She's a sister that she's now the regulator in Portland, Oregon. But she was on my team as my chief strategy officer. She created a education event in Oklahoma. It was the very first one in Oklahoma on cannabis. And when I walked in there and saw that she had 150, maybe 200 people, it was in a little small, quaint hotel. She had speakers. She did a movie premiere of the Women in Weeds movie, or one of the movies. She did a movie premiere. She did education. There were Native Americans there. There were, there were white residents that were there. There were some black residents that were there. But this sister came together and came up with this idea. And when she did, I was like, oh, Oklahoma, it'll be, it's going to be a nice little, but no, I had no idea that it would.
Like a rocket, yo.
Just didn't know.
And Oklahoma's doing great things. It's working for a lot of people, but I guess my belief is, I don't necessarily hate Oklahoma's business model. I like their model because, to me, I think the plant will speak for itself. If you grow good product, right, and you have good product, you're going to sell good product. If you have trash product, you're not going to sell trash product, and you're going to go out of business. So I like the model in reference to that. So I love that idea.
Right. Well, but how do you feel about, when you think about it, because I'm not, there's two silos of consumers. You have the consumer that has been a consumer of this plant. They know what they like. They know exactly what strains. They know, you know what works for you and what you like and when you want to consume and what's the best time. And then you have another group that is like, it's new and I'm going to try and I'm going to try to figure it out. And so those are the group that may not be versed on good flower versus bad flower or what have you. But I do believe that customer service, knowing your plant, being able to have a good variety of different products available. It's just the same as growing maintaining Absolutely. Any kind of business. You have to do the basics of a business in order for it to be successful. And if you're not successful, you're not going to make revenue, and you're going to basically walk yourself out of having a business. Because if you're not making money, what are you doing? And that's why the open market will, I think, right the industry, because it will show who's good at what they're doing and who's not good, right?
Mm-hmm. Who can walk the walk and talk the talk? You see what I'm saying?
Especially whenever the fence, when the fence isn't so high that just anybody with some business sense can jump it, because we don't want people in the industry running these businesses who have no idea
what they're doing.
That can be a bad thing. So there has to be some sort of minimum qualification. But once you've met that, which shouldn't be that high, let's talk about restaurants. What kind of barriers are in place to open a restaurant?
Health barriers. Got to have food safety, like codes and
just
health inspections.
Just got to do the right thing,
But I think what you're touching on is good. But you're talking about medicine versus food. So medicine's kind of a little bit more.
We're talking adult use,
but still it's medicine.
There's an argument.
Medicine,
that's a good argument.
You're still.
It's a good argument.
You're still like you can't really manipulate medicine like you can food, so to speak. So it's kind of a different category, I guess, to my opinion. What do you think?
I don't know. It is a medicine. You can make the argument that it's a nutraceutical. It's always, True. It's kind of a pharma. There's a lot to it. But at the end of the day, it's a consumer item, okay? And just like alcohol, just like tobacco, people self-medicate with those things and have been for a long time, and they're way worse for you. Okay, so it's a consumer item. So let the consumers decide. You know, there's two things consumers want, and I'll argue with you all night long about it. It's price and quality.
That's true.
In that order.
Hey.
In that
can't
order.
Can't argue.
Okay.
You would never get their argument out of me on that one.
And some people are going to want one more than the other, right?
True.
There's a different balance depending on the people, but leave it to the consumer to decide, and not for the government, and not for artificially high barriers.
If I don't agree with nothing on this whole video, I agree with that.
Okay.
Leave it up to the people.
We're right
the
here.
People. That's dope.
Well, I mean, I think your point is so important, and just don't forget. And thank you, my brother, for pointing out it is a medicine, because there is a property of this plant. If you consume it and you go, I've had a rough day, I can't sleep, I have anxiety, you know yourself, and you know when you consume the plant where it takes you. If you're in a certain place and you feel better, and you able to handle things, if it's from a mental perspective or if it's a physical perspective, then there's a health and wellness component to this plant that you have to acknowledge. No matter if it's adult use or medical, you have to acknowledge it. And it's different from liquor. And I don't want to compare it to liquor, because liquor is a manufactured product where this plant is growing from the earth, right? I never thought in a million years. Listen, I grew up in a little country town, and I was always told you don't smoke weed, I never thought in a million years that I would be in this industry and I've self-taught myself on just the efficacy of this plant and understanding. And I have a 22-year-old son who has sickle cell anemia, and let me tell you something, he gets a transfusion every 6 to 8 weeks. He hasn't had a transfusion in over 12 weeks with the use of cannabis to help control his pain. And you don't understand, if you don't have to transfuse him as often, that means his liver is able to function better. He doesn't have the possibilities of having a blood reaction or what have you. And also he's being prepared to have a bone marrow transplant, which is going to be better if he's not transfused as frequently. So if that plant is making a difference where he feels better and is making a difference that he has a better quality of life, there's no comparison to, I know it's a consumer good, but it is something there. And I'm not someone saying, hey, just go, you have to also use responsibly. So I talked to my son about using responsibly, knowing what he's doing, being able to, understand his dosage for himself, where he needs to be. But I think it's such a bigger conversation now than just, hey, I just want to go and just smoke or whatever. I just want to go kick it with my boys or kick it with my girls. So I don't know. That's just my take on it, and being a mom and really advocating for the medical side.
No, and that's exactly right, because you're shining lights on all the different facets. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It ain't an easy solution.
There's so much more to explore, though.
It ain't an easy solution. But I think that's gonna regulate itself as well. Especially if it has to be regulated to a certain extent, especially in terms of safety.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then beyond that, whenever you're talking for medicine, I'm a firm believer that the free market's only better for the medical side as well, because there are folks who need concentrated oils.
Absolutely.
Right, FICO, right?
Topicals, tinctures.
Topicals, all this stuff, and that's not, right now it's not even available.
Which I don't understand why.
Once it becomes available, it's not going to be cheap.
You guys don't have tincture there? You don't have topicals
there? Yeah, we understand why, but come on now, really, listen, we need, come on, seriously, FICO, topicals, tincture, really, we need that. Patients need that, for real.
So tinctures are not available right now in Missouri, or topicals?
No, ma'am.
Flour and edibles at this point.
We just started selling flour this last October, okay?
Right.
And so we're pretty much mostly flour at this point. We're starting to see some edibles. What else you seeing out there? It's just edibles.
I think that's it.
Little edibles,
Edibles and like soda.
No
couple pre-rolls. No concentrates whatsoever.
None.
No vape pens. None of that.
None of that. I mean, that it's like gummies, soda, flour. That's pretty much it. And of course,
can I make a recommendation I would make, or something to think about, is before you even start talking about adult use, and this is throughout the country, we have some medical programs that are anemic at best. And like the state of New York, they have it's just a program that needs more the medical conditions need to be expanded. The delivery, the type of products needs to be expanded. So before we start talking adult use in Missouri, can we just go back and say, hey, there needs to be some medical program reform? And how do we reform? Because if you reform and get your tinctures in, get your vape pens in, get your topicals, let me tell you something. It's nothing better for a L5, L6 herniated disc than a nice topical to put on your back and rub it in and put a heating pad on it. It feels amazing. So I think if we can look at ways to reform the medical programs and make them better, we do ourselves a service as we're looking at bringing it in an adult use program, because now we're able to expand the pond. So when adult use comes in, you just you grandfather everything you're doing on the medical side, you grandfather it right in on the adult side, and then go from there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And what kind of shortcomings are you seeing around the nation for those medical programs? Because that's very important.
Yeah. So some of the things we're seeing are the medical conditions that are being approved. It's very limited. So the fact that you're able to have we want to see programs that have being able for, if you have chronic pain, if you're suffering from any type of anxiety, PTSD induced, but you can have COVID, living in COVID. I've had COVID anxiety where I'm I'm anxious. That's and you can tell, and you can really tell how it affects your daily life. And
that's real. Seriously, that's real.
So you would want to see an expansion of the conditions, expansion of the different delivery systems. So it's not just flour. It's not just normally it's backwards. Normally states will let you have maybe a tincture, possibly a vape, but with the vape issue that happened with that's kind of been put on hold. But normally a tincture and maybe a cream. And so the fact that you guys normally edibles and flour come in last. So the fact that you guys got flour and edibles first.
Didn't Ohio do edibles first?
Say it again now.
Didn't Ohio? Don't they
no,
only
I don't
have
think
edibles? If I'm not mistaken.
No, I think they only have tincture. I think they only have tincture. I know they don't have flour. So they have tincture and no flour. I don't know if they have edibles. I have to look that one up.
Yeah, that's a really good point too, especially whenever you've got we tend to get into Missouri mode. You know what I mean? Kansas, right across the street over here. And so it's really good for us to have this perspective. And that, we're already talking about fixing our medical program and taking the next step because why wouldn't we? And meanwhile, you're telling us, whoa, hold up. There are states that still aren't there yet in terms of medical even.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't go to fix your program. Honestly, I would love to work with MCIA. We look at the program, the medical program as it is right now, and we look at ways that we can improve it and make it better. That even includes maybe, because Missouri didn't have a social equity bill. Let's keep it real. Missouri had there was a component that you were able to do a diversity plan and do community engagement, but there wasn't a separate social equity program. So how about if we create a medical social equity program that identifies medically underserved areas or areas that don't have access points right now, and at least give give some of the social equity brands and business owners not only a chance to go after some of the other licenses, but go after those licenses as well. And I think that could be something that's really an interesting conversation, because we know if you get in now, the likelihood if adult use comes in for you to be able to then have an adult use retail center is being grandfathered in is the norm versus not the norm. And I just want people to be in a position, if you got to start out small and if you don't have all the resources, just get in the door. Let's get you in the door. Let's get you to the point where you get the support that you need to become an operator. Start operating under your own terms, but having the support that you need. Be able to drive your business for a year or two, going through the ups and downs of having a business, but be prepared for the adult use market that's going to come to Missouri, and then be able to flourish and take off when that happens. That's where I would see a gradual growth, because we're looking for sustainability and not a one-hit wonder. We want sustainability. Get in, get settled, learn the business. You're not in the legacy market, you're in the regulated market. Get you the resources that you need, get you stabilized, and then allow you to take off.
That's how you create that.
I love it.
That's how you create
love
that
it.
social equity right there.
We're
That's how
gonna
you do it.
get around the table together.
That's
okay.
dope. I like that.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna get right, and we're gonna have a conversation. And
That's all it takes.
I can't wait. I can't
I
wait.
can't wait either.
Now listen. Let's spend a couple minutes. Okay, we're kind of winding down here. I don't want to keep you up. I know you probably haven't ate yet. Tell me a little about Minorities for Medical Marijuana, what you do nationwide,
Sure.
and how people can get involved with you.
Absolutely. First, a shout out to Marnie, I'm sorry, I said Marnie, but Marnie Madison. She's our state director there in Missouri. Marnie is a sweetheart. She was just in Leafly being celebrated for her excellence. She has this new teaching academy that she's created. A sister that's really doing things, trying to bridge and create connections. So shout out to that sister and all the hard work she's doing for M4MM. But we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have 27 chapters throughout the country. You guys, if you want to be a part of us, if you want to just donate to be able to support the efforts and the things that we're doing, go to our website, www.m4mmunited.org. We have so many programs. We have over 9 programs that we facilitate throughout the country. We just this past September ended up doing an expungement fair that was so fantastic in Maryland. We actually helped to support 45 people getting their records cleared for low possession, low marijuana charges and convictions. So what we want to do is we want to see more of that. We want to do it in Missouri. We want to do it in Illinois. We want to be able to make a difference and making sure that we help people clear their records. We also are super proud of just the outreach we're doing to veterans. Shout out to Leo Bridgewater. We have an internship program called Ready, Set, Grow for our interns. These students want an opportunity to see the regulated cannabis industry and how they can get in. So all you Missourians out there, if you have a business, if you're a cultivator, if you're a processor, call us, become a partner. We want you to be a partner, and then we want to be able to help you facilitate these students who want to learn about this industry from the ground up, to have a chance to intern with you and spend time and being able to see and get a hands-on experience. So again, www.m4mmunited.org. You can call us 877-900-0832. If you want to volunteer, we need volunteers. Supporting Marnie in Missouri, we need you. And long story short, I'm just grateful to Clay. I met Clay 2.5 years ago, and it was one of the best intros that I ever made, and stayed connected with him. So thank you, Clay, for just always supporting M4MM, loving on our organization, really lifting up the organization and what we're doing, and inviting me here tonight. I really appreciate it, ma'am.
Hey, thank you so much, Roz. Wow, it's always a pleasure to listen to you speak, and doing great things as always, and anything that we can do to help support that cause. And I'm so glad that LaVaughn was here tonight, and this is a conversation that we hope to continue to carry on, and we'd love to have you back sometime, especially talking about potentially, expungements and what we can do to start pushing that forward. Should that be a part of adult use initiatives?
How about invite me to come to Missouri once the COVID lifts a little bit, or let's get on a Zoom and let's talk about how we reform the medical program, make it even more inclusive, and give you guys what you need, and talk about expungements. That's where we are. I want to come back on live, but it's time for us to get to work. And if we get to work and then come back on live and say, we came together and created this work group and think tank, and we came up with some ideas, and we want to share with you guys what we came up with, that's so powerful.
Yep. And what if we bring to you a petition that already checks all the boxes you talked about tonight? Will you get behind that?
I get behind it, man. Bring it to me. I'm ready.
That's what she said.
Do I know what petition you're talking about?
That's what she said. Well, Clay, what do we got?
No, so I appreciate that, Roz, and we would love. We'll bring you out here. I'm super passionate about expungements as well, because it's not only about fixing the future, but it's about correcting the past as well, and getting the people out of prison that are still there being locked up for things that people are making millions and billions of dollars off of. So that's my true passion.
Let me tell you something. Yep, the Maryland expungement clinic we did. I mean, these people were in prison. They were living their daily life, but they weren't able to live their fullest and their best life because they had this one thing on their record. And every time they went to go get this job or get this contract, it would pop up. And we had grown men crying, saying, my wife told me to do this 20 years ago or 15 years ago, and I'm just now getting it done. And so thankful. And they didn't pay one dime, not one dime.
Yes.
So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it, man. We can do it together. Let's plan it out and let's make it happen.
I love it. Roz, you always just make me feel like I have another goal in life. When I feel like I didn't have too much to do, I was like, all right, well, let me put this aside. These are the real matters that needs to happen right now. Thank you so much.
We can do it.
Yep, I appreciate it. Speaking of expungements, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go to a little commercial. It's actually about a 15-minute commercial, so just bear with us. This is actually a live collect call from one of the Canada Convict Project prisoners that's in jail right now. They're trying to get out of jail. These are the things we're talking about. These are what gives me a passion to make change in the industry on a whole nother rectifying level, which will hopefully inspire future change that we were talking about earlier tonight. So let's take a quick break. Stand by. We'll be back shortly. Tag a friend in the meantime for that free gift card. Thanks so much, Roz, for joining us. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes.
Love you, Roz.
Bye, guys. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded. To accept this free call, press 1. To review, thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So we've got you already recording, so I'm going to introduce you to everyone on our little commercial here. So this is Kristen Christina with the Canada Convict Project, and on the phone right now we have Robert Franklin. You want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everybody.
Okay, so we're really excited to introduce you to everyone. We've been blowing your face up all over Facebook for almost a year now, so everyone is at least familiar with who you are. So I would love for you to explain to everyone what the situation is that you're in, how you got there. But first, just to give a little bit of background to everyone, Robert Franklin is someone that we ran across very early on in our research, trying to find Missouri individuals who are currently incarcerated. Unfortunately, when we went to go look him up on the Missouri prisoner website, he's not listed. He's still not listed. You can't find him by his name. You can't find him by his DOC number. So we kind of put his file aside because we couldn't find him. We didn't know what was going on. And then his mama reached out to us about end of last March and put him back on our radar and explained that he's not searchable. And so we've been trying to advocate on his behalf ever since and get him some kind of release. So Robert, could you please tell everyone what happened, when it happened, and just kind of what's going on with the intro to you getting incarcerated for your cannabis charge?
Oh, well, it was 2007, and I was going down the highway, and they had a rule, they had a sign that said drug checkpoint, so many miles or whatever, so I got off the highway. I ended up getting caught with a pound of marijuana, and went to trial, lost, and got 22 years without the possibility of probation and parole. They want me to do 80% of it. I've already completed almost 12. I got 11.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
And now I'm fighting to get out.
Yeah, 22 years without the possibility of parole with 80% required to be served is pretty harsh for a single pound of cannabis. And we know a lot of people who had a lot more who got a lot less time. What are your thoughts on that?
There was 3 cars that were pulled over that night. All 3 of us were pulled over for the same reason, not stopping at the stop sign and going across the center line. One of those people, one of the cars who was stopped had 80 pounds in it. He told me he was trying to fit 100 in it, and I don't know what actually happened to him, but I'm pretty sure that he didn't get a hard sentence like I got. I've been incarcerated with robbers, murderers, sex offenders, and a lot of those people got less time than I have, and I have a non-violent crime. And I was wondering why somebody with a violent crime would be getting out before me with a non-violent crime. And since I've been incarcerated at Mobley Correctional Center, I've seen people leave and people come back, and people leave and people come back, and every time they come back, they have a different case. And they're not trying to let me free. There was a guy that started a push because the laws has changed, and I actually went to court fighting for almost 2 years to get the laws ran retroactive, but they denied it. So everybody who comes in now, there is no more without parole for drug offenders.
That was repealed in 2017, and who Robert's talking about the situation of being in court for almost 2 years was for a declaratory judgment. And there was another individual, not a cannabis offense, but he was released by the judge when the statute was repealed in 2017, and the judge said that there was retroactive relief. Well, DOC appealed that decision, and it took 2 years for them to come to a final decision, and they decided just, what was it, June or July of 2020, that there was no retroactive relief. And they were actually getting ready to send that individual, his name's Demetrius Woods, back to prison after he'd been out and successful and reintegrated for 4 years. Then the governor stepped in and granted him clemency. And so that's what Robert is really in need of. That's why we are constantly pushing for everyone to send those letters and emails to the governor and leaving voicemails and just supporting his pending clemency, because right now that's the only release outlet. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Unless some new legislation comes in that has retroactive relief. So Robert called yesterday, and we had a really great conversation, and I was informing him about the HJR 30 that Shamed Dogan has put out there, and that does, it's for an adult use, and that does have retroactive relief for these individuals, and that would directly affect Robert. And that's something we're all very excited about, because he could potentially, this could potentially happen as early as August of this year. So Robert, I want everyone to get to know you a little bit, because every time you call, you are like this bundle of joy, and I can be in like the worst mood, and talking to you just like makes me feel so much better. So can you tell everyone a little bit about who you are as a person, your family, children? Who are you? Who were you before? Who do you hope to be when you get out?
Well, I am Robert Franklin. I am currently 40 years old. I'm a Libra. I have one daughter. She's 14, and that's my world right there. She doesn't have any memory.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
Being there with her or taking care of her. And I was with her and taking care of her whenever I caught this case. Me and her mom were together, and we were doing the family thing. What I want to do when I get out is, first I gotta try to make up for lost time with my daughter. She's, like I said, she's my world, and I'm trying to get her to see that college is the thing to do. And trying to raise her over the phone is pretty hard, but I'm doing it, or trying my hardest.
she's like my new best friend.
Yeah, my mom been in my corner. My whole family's been in my corner. My mom, my dad, my sister, my brother. They've been by my side through this whole process. They come and see me whenever it's available. We don't have business right now, so I haven't been able to see them. I'm from Columbia. That's where I was headed whenever I caught this case. My aunt was dying, and she actually died when I got arrested. A few days after I got arrested. My mom, she's beautiful. She's pushing for me. She's by my side. My father's by my side. He's pushing for me. My sister, my brother, they all wrote letters to the governor and got the same response back. I don't know what else should I say, Christy?
What you want to tell everyone a little bit about the additional hardships and what it's been like since COVID has started? Because I mean, we found out about you right as everything went into lockdown, and I've been since approved as a visitor for you, so we're just waiting for it to open back up so I can bring you a really good food visit and fatten you up a little and put some meat on your bones. But tell everyone about the additional hardships you've been enduring.
Oh, well, it's been hard. 70 people in my wing had the COVID, including myself. And we were locked down for, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. And we're still going through it. There's still people in my wing that have it, but they keep them separated from us. Like she said, the visits are stopped, so I haven't been able to see my family. And I haven't been able to meet Christina face to face. She's on my visiting list. The hardest thing about this is my kid growing up without me. That's what's so hard on me. Because I always wanted kids, and then when I got one, I got arrested. She was like 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, whenever they caught me. Sent me to prison. Like I said, she's 14 now. She's in high school. I want to see her for her sweet 16. I know that.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
I miss all of her birthdays, and I try to. Well, they come to see me on her birthday every year. My mom brings her. I hope and pray that it will come this year. They segregated the yard, so we don't get as much time out as we would. The hardships over these years is, I know it's been hard for my family because I was incarcerated in Lincoln, Missouri before I was here. And it was a 5-hour drive. So they drove here 5 hours, and they drove back 5 hours. A 10-hour trip for one visit. They stayed over for the weekend. And, like I said, the hardest thing about this is missing my daughter. Missing my daughter grow up, and the opportunity to have more kids and being with them as they grow up.
Yep, this war on drugs has destroyed generations of individuals. There's no winners here, and this is the exact situation that should be pulling on everyone's heart, is that you and everyone else that we advocate for is a non-violent cannabis offense. There was no weapons, children, violent crimes of any way involved, and you have been torn away from your family and your ability to be a father over something that we now have businesses making millions of dollars in our very fucking state. And you're still sitting there, and these politicians
You have 1 minute left.
need to keep you guys in mind. And if there's anything else you want to say before we get cut off, please feel free to let us know.
Yeah, I just can't believe that I was sentenced to all this time for such a small crime. I thank you for everybody for listening to me, and I thank you, Christina, for being in my corner. I thank your husband for being in my corner. I thank everybody who pushing for my release. Like I said, it's just crazy having this much time, doing this much time. I've done over 11 years, being incarcerated for over 11 years for
A pound.
such a small crime. Yes, for a pound of marijuana. $450.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you got an army out here fighting for you. You're not forgotten, and we love you, man. So.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
We got cut off.
We lost him. Well, it was exciting that we were able to get him on a phone call and get it recorded so you guys can kind of hear what's going on the inside. Just real fortunate that he was able to be on there. So thanks for joining us.
22 years for 1 pound. You guys, the fight's not over.
Nobody belongs in jail for a plant. He was possessing what we can now possess as cultivator caregivers. We can possess more than that. And so it's ridiculous that somebody has already spent 12 years of their lives behind bars. And so we need to keep working hard for him and everybody else just like him.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the show, guys. I'm sure you're getting a lot of really great information. We love you. Stay engaged.
Wow. Such a pleasure to be working with that organization, the Canada Convict Project. Wonderful things they're doing in the industry. We appreciate Roz coming on tonight. The whole point of this show is to make an impact on the industry, to make an impact on patients, to make sure that we inspire change in the community, whether it's expungements, whether it's making sure minorities have a place in the industry as we go into adult use scenario. So thank you so much. By the way, we have a super open door policy when it comes to this show and our magazine, and Chris Smith just happened to stop by just before the break there. So we're going to bring him on, and maybe Eric's going to, give it up for Chris Smith here.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. What a surprise.
And they've got some exciting things happening. I'm going to pass the mic over to Chris, and I think Eric may have some questions for Chris. And thanks so much for stopping by, brother.
I love it. Chris, you got to tell me, man. You got to tell me. This story, it's a moving story. Is this what makes it tick for you?
It really is. There's, we all could, most of us could have, easily been put in jail for the stuff that we were doing. There's people sitting behind bars right now for the same stuff that we've been doing for decades now. I'm not going to say necessarily all the stuff that I did that would qualify me for that, but I would absolutely have been sitting in prison had I been caught. I've been pulled over by multiple highway patrolmen with who knows what in my back seat. And, I was just lucky enough to get out of that situation. But so many of these other people, these original cultivators, these original caregivers, the original dispensaries, the original manufacturers, they were helping out patients for decades, for years, for, just doing all this. And so it is our duty now that we can legally do this to help them out, to get them out of jail. We've got, he just saw the video. He got put in prison for 22 years for a single pound of cannabis.
Single pound of weed, yo.
And let's not shoot the elephant in the room.
4 month supply. That's a 4 month supply.
Right. That's not much at all. But had he been white, he most likely would have got probation. Let's be honest about it. But
yeah, that's exactly what would have
since
happened.
He was a minority, he got the brick thrown at him. He got
That scare
22
tactic,
years put in
man.
prison.
It's that scare tactic.
It goes with all races, but if you're a minority, you're absolutely going to be more targeted and sentenced far more
harshly.
Far more harshly than you would had you been white or rich or anything else.
Sure. No, and I think the passion really shows through for you.
Hell yeah, man.
You guys got a great chemistry. You got a great thing going. I know MCIA is behind you, man.
We love you guys too.
Keep doing the good. Keep doing the good things and fighting the good fight. And please stop by. Like every time I'm here, I love to see you, man.
Well, I love being behind the scenes. I'm behind the scenes quite often. Not so much in the last couple months, but what Clay and the Evolution Magazine are doing and the platform they give the Canada Convict Project, it really helps put out this message, and we're trying to get people free from prison. I mean, this is ridiculous. We have people making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month running dispensaries. Why are we still having people in jail? This is absolutely ridiculous, and it's time to change something. It's not going to change if we don't keep getting our voice out there, and the evolution has absolutely done it for us and really put us over the top to really help us get that message out there. I mean, MCIA,
so we do
LaVaughn, everybody. We just need to all stick together and keep pressing this message.
That's right. That's
to
right.
bring everybody home.
That's right. And tag a friend. Chris, thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
COVID hug right over here. I love you, man. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Stop by real soon. Love that guy. Love that guy.
I
Love that guy. I'm Eric McSwain. I know we're coming back. You probably haven't had time for a break. That's just fine. That's just fine. Grab one if you need to. Get yourself a snack. Get yourself something to drink. We got some knowledge to drop on you. You're going to want to be sharp for this part of the show. We're going to talk about some growing.
We're gonna just have some fun.
Who we got here?
Hey, like, what up? It's your boy. It's your motherfucking boy. V9 Grows 420 with my boy Eric McSwain. Easy E and the place to be. Let's do it.
That's how we do it.
Just going to have some fun, you guys. A lot of fun.
We're going to talk about some growing in this next half. Super important to me because 1 in 3 of all patients are going to be cultivators right there in their card.
Absolutely.
And each cultivator can be a caregiver and take care of 2 patients, 3 patients.
3?
Guess what? That's all we need.
That's all we need.
Let's take care of each other.
Let's take care of each other. Keep it all in one big circle. I'm not saying you can't go to dispensaries because I'm gonna still go to dispensaries.
I'll be there.
They have flavors that I'm not gonna have in my garden that I don't have for myself. They got concentrates that I may not have, but at the same time, the program is set up for the home grower and the patient directly. So we might as well just utilize the resources that we have.
You know what? And we keep it real. But we have a decent program here in Missouri. It allows you to grow. Tag a friend. Hurry up, tag a friend.
I got seeds to give away, you guys. Don't forget, I got seeds to give away.
We're going to talk about outdoor growing, and we got some cheesy poofs.
Eat those cheesy poofs. Genetics. 5 beans that I'm giving away next week on the stream. So y'all, check that out.
Like $60, $70 or something. Wow.
I got those from Indo Expo.
We appreciate
I got those on last year in January, Denver, Colorado. It was bittersweet because that was the time we heard about Kobe Bryant passing. At Indo Expo. It was a trip, yo.
Now you know where you were.
You better say, hey, where were you at when Kobe Bryant? I was at Indo Expo. I was blasted at Indo Expo.
That's how we do it.
In Denver, Colorado.
That's how we do it.
Man, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I ended up entering a giveaway, and I left. And then someone called me and was like, hey, you want some seeds? I'm like, turn back around. And I turned back around and picked them up. It was 3 packs. It was some Lilac Diesel. It was some the Cheesy Poofs and Purple Rosé.
I got some diesel.
Diesel I was like, wow.
It's quality.
Quality, good stuff, man.
That's right. Well, how'd you get started in all this? I mean, you're kind of a little sensation, let's just be honest here. I'm
a pretty humble guy.
No, so tell us for real though. I mean, how'd you get going? How'd you get motivated to get into this? What drove you?
So when I was 12 years old, was when I kind of experimented with cannabis. Growing up in St. Louis downtown, Doris, Wilby, Clinton, Peabody Project. Shout out to Back Home.
You know what's up.
Shout out to Back Home. In an urban neighborhood in the 80s and the 90s, you experiment a lot because you have a little more freedom. It's not as tight as it is today and so secure because you got to watch out for everything. But then you had to then, but it was a little more open. So I tried cannabis, and I never understood the connection on why cannabis didn't medicate me properly. But I didn't learn that until 20 years later because I understood the connection between Ritalin, Concerta, Metadate, Clonidine, Adderall, which is what I was on when I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 9.
Hold on, say it again. You said you talk fast.
Yeah.
There was a combination that you were on, and it masked the effects of.
Absolutely. You talking about a Schedule II drug, brother? Ritalin, Concerta, Metadate, Clonidine, Adderall. I was on it. I was on it from 9 all the way till maybe 15, and yeah, it took me places that cannabis couldn't put me at a better level. So I didn't understand the connection between it until 20 years later, when I was off meds by then, and then I retried cannabis again, and I understood the connection. That's when I started diving into the research. which I already knew a lot about it already, but I had to dive even more on why this wasn't told to me in the beginning, why it was hidden from me, why it was taken away from me, why it was not pushed so heavily.
Why it's not an option.
Exactly. Why it's not even an option. I'm like, I had to explore what that was. So then I started learning, okay, I can grow this too. Of course, you know, we all do it a little bit. I'm like marking on the ground, quiet, hush, hush. But, you know, grew my first 2 plants and it was semi-successful. And I said, you know what, let's take this up a level. So I figured, let's go ahead and show the people of Missouri that this new program is coming out where you can home grow. Let's show them how to grow their own cannabis from a beginner standpoint. I didn't know how to grow all that well back then, so I figured why not give it to them from a beginner standpoint, because the videos that I learned from on YouTube were somewhat over my head. They kind of talked over my head, or they used logic that didn't make any sense, or didn't make any sense to me. So when I started V9 Grows 420, I said, okay, I'm gonna sit here and just give it to them step by step, but I can do it live versus
so you're learning in public.
Exactly. Instead of doing videos where you comment on the video and you might get an answer back.
All right.
Versus you can ask me on the stream live, and most of the time I will, because I have.
Speaking of which, y'all tune in. Ask us some questions. You got a couple growers
Shoot your questions right. This is the perfect opportunity.
So you decided to do that. You decided to start something from the very beginning and just grow with your audience. What's going on now?
So right now, it's really blossomed into something beautiful with my own platform and even my own merch, V9 Grows 420 merch. You can check that out on v9grows420.com. You know, right now it's just a lot of things going on in my garden, and I just recently harvested. Did really good. I had a couple of Dream Queens, a Hulk King. I had Laffy Affy, Tropica Sensor. Tropica Sensor is a really, really good sativa. And I had a few autos too in a 4x4.
Very nice.
Which a lot of people kind of shun on autos. I like autos if you know how to work with them right.
That's okay. They just need a little different kind of
love.
They
need a little TLC, man. A little TLC, nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Hey, but honestly, autos are great, guys. For those who want to grow and you don't have a lot of experience with photo periods, autos are a great way to start. I'm gonna tell you right now. Short life period, 90 to maybe 100 days, maybe. And you can get some good soil like that 1-1 soil they got here at Happy Rock Farms, you know.
Just saying, right here.
The 1-1 soil. Shout out to Big V. Shout out to my brother Big V. You can get that and you can run your autos. Water only. Water only. So I ran a couple of stores with some water only, and I've had some success with the one I'm using right now. And it's pretty good. It's going pretty good.
Me too. That's how I live. I mean,
simplicity is good.
Water only. I mean, that's a little bit of a lie for me. I'll put some worm castings. I'll do some other things on top, but mainly it's just tap water. Let's just get it on. It doesn't have to be hard. Doesn't have to be complicated. I got no problem with hydroponics either, because that's amazing. I've seen some. Just drool. It's really good. So
just some massive autos and hydro.
Just takes a little more attention that way is all. And you're a soil grower. Yeah.
Growing soil. I use dry amendments. I use right now some stuff called Veg Bloom Plus hydroponic research.
Okay.
It's a dry amendment. It's really, really good. And the reason why I chose soil over hydro is because I just believe that a plant's natural environment is in dirt. You can add beneficial microbes. You can get some beneficial bugs going on, like some worms and some roly-polies that can aerate the soil. Add some worm castings in there, all naturally. That things you can't do in hydro. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hydro's a great step. Hydro's a great simple step, because most time it's set it and forget it for a few days. But with soil, you get to add that extra oomph and those extra microbes you can put in there that you really can't put in hydro systems like you want to, because it'll sometimes get clogged and you worry about lines getting tied up, and if your power goes out, then it's a lot of pros and cons to that.
More attention.
A lot of pros and cons to that.
And that's okay too. It can be part of the therapy, maintaining a system. So it takes a little more maintenance. You got to mind it, and that there's certainly nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
So you grow in a tent. Do you think that's better?
Honestly,
in a tent?
If you have the room, I would say don't use a tent. I mean, use an open area as best as possible, as long as it's a controlled environment. Can you control the temperature? Can you control the humidity? Can you control pests? Yeah. Pests are, especially for indoor grows, pests are a big thing. Most outdoor growers, man.
We can talk more. We can talk more.
It kind of comes with the nature,
Talk about that.
You're growing outdoors. Nature's around, so. And it's one of those things that if you don't have to use a tent, then don't. If you have a less controlled environment as far as temperature goes, and you want to control your temperature a little better, definitely use a tent. I would definitely go that direction. But if you don't have to, then definitely don't. Maximize all the area you have.
I agree, and it's going to be easier outside of a tent. If you can just put it in the middle of a 10 by 10 room, because you can get all the way around it. The pests and the bugs, they're always going to be on that part of the garden you don't see. That's just the way it works.
That's how it works.
It's Murphy's Law. So, but tents can be good if you really want to dial it in, like you say.
Absolutely.
I can run 3 different tents with 3 different environments, 3 different high temperatures, 3 different humidity levels, that sort of thing. Tents can be a good thing. You just got to remember that you want to monitor the environment in the outside of the tent as well as the inside of the tent, because they're gonna play together.
Hey, Eric, we're having a little lag issue with some of the questions, and so that's why we haven't got as many up here, but I want to go through some of those.
Okay.
You guys have
that's good. Well, let's. I've got one more on the screen. I've got one more on the screen. The second part of the question was, what's the best for extreme pain? In my case, I have those mornings where I get up and I feel like, dang, should I have even got up? It's pretty bad. I don't want to go to work. For me, high THC, just generally speaking, is going to really bring things down and make it manageable for me.
And tinctures.
Tinctures are going to help, especially for long-term.
Oh, man.
Is that your?
I love a good tincture. Love it. So I had a lot of gut pain. So I had a lot of inflammation in my gut, which I've gotten worked out. And I use tinctures a lot for that gut pain. And if without tinctures and topicals,
that's pretty tough.
Man, I dealt with that pain for a year and a half.
Is there a better variety for you, or is it mostly the THC?
I would say, I like a good mix. When I want to end my day, I don't want to end my day on such a massive high. So I'll kind of go with something a little bit lower on THC. Right. I'll even do a CBD dab before I go.
Okay.
I got some Durban Poison CBD dab at home that I'll do, and I'll just go to bed. Knock me right out.
Yep.
Gone.
Yep.
I'm
nice.
out.
Nice. And so that's a personal experience too. You're going to have to do some experimentation. What's best for you? There are a lot of different variations, body types, and the way you ingest it. Clay, what other questions we got?
So Tracy R. Shearer, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. She says she's having so many problems with the indoor growing, outdoor. I do great. Next question, she was asking, am I fucking up with water only? What am I doing wrong? I think she has lots of questions there. Or is it a solo game? Probably too much to cover in one question for the screen.
Well, I guess one of the questions I can answer real quick is the kind of water that you're using. Like, is it tap water? Is it reverse osmosis water? Is it like this water right here?
Do you have a water softener?
Do you have a water softener?
That's going to be my first question. I get this one sometimes. I do a little consulting. I help some folks with coaching. If you're using a water softener or have one in your house, if you just can't figure out what's messing it up, is it a water softener?
Check your pH.
What's your water look like?
Check your pH.
Because if you're dumping garbage in there, it's the plants.
You're giving your plant garbage, and they're not gonna like it.
Yeah, and the water softeners, they're usually full of salts of some sort, which take the place in the water of nutrients. So they actually push the nutrients to the side, and that's what ends up in your soil salt and not the nutrients. So. And likewise, if you're using water-only soil, it pushes out the nutrients and builds up the salts of the soil, and will be toxic for your plants. Maybe that'll help. I hope, Tracy.
Yeah, sorry, Tracy. I was trying to get through. Normally we have a little box that pops up and people ask questions, and then those questions are consolidated that we put up on the screen for our hosts and co-hosts to read. Okay. But seems to be a lag because we'll figure that out another time. But Grace Johns actually also chimed in. Great to see you, Grace. Thanks for stopping by again. She has a 3x3 tent, and she was wondering what the proper exhaust should be for that. Like, what's the basic exhaust situation?
It really depends on what your temperatures are already dialed in at right now. You could set a tent up in a room, and your temperatures and your relative humidity can be perfect for veg and pretty perfect for flower, because you got to lower that humidity down for flower. But you could have it completely dialed in without needing an exhaust. But as far as like talking about exhaust for like carbon filtration for smell and flower, then it really depends on the grow area. For a 3x3, a 4-inch would be just fine. I wouldn't go 6-inch. That's a little overkill for a 3x3 tent. 4-inch carbon filter works perfectly fine, and I would more than likely have it outside of the tent instead of inside of it because you want to maximize as much space as you have in that 3x3. So you can actually sit your carbon filter and your actual exhaust outside of your tent and filter it that way as well.
Yep. Yeah, I would only disagree with the fan size because I'm betting that she'll eventually want to upgrade to like a 5x5.
Yeah, of course.
And so if you get a 6-inch fan, just turn it down. Right,
that's true.
You can turn it down.
Well, I actually want a 4-inch in my 5x5 right now, and it works great.
Well, what kind?
Vivo Sun.
Okay.
The first one was an iPower, and it worked just fine too.
Huh.
I don't know.
I'll be darned.
There's lots of people responding to her question saying 4-inch we'll do just fine, buddy.
I'm telling you, hey, experience helps you guys.
No,
like,
that's right.
I understand. Right. I am not a master. Experience helps. Like I know what the heck I'm doing here.
What else we got? We got any more backlog?
Let's see. So back to Tracy's question. She's on well water. I guess she's wondering what to do with the well water situation.
Well water is some of the best water you could use.
Maybe.
It depends on.
There's a wide variation in well water.
What's your pH at? Check that pH.
Now, whenever you drink out of a tap water, you can really handle. Your body doesn't mind a high pH.
Because it's alkaline.
Water. Really doesn't matter. You can buy alkaline water
at
the store.
Because it's alkaline.
Right? So, but your plants aren't going to like it. So, as far as your pH, I mean, anything over an 8 pH, if you're in living soil, this is living soil, anything over an 8 pH, you're going to want to kind of look at that.
Take it down.
Anything below a 6 pH in living soil, you're going to want to kind of look at that.
6.3 is a good sweet spot.
But for hydroponics now, that's a different matter.
For soil.
5.8 is what
5.8 for hydro.
One of the owners of Happy Rock Farms just told me.
Just told us that, right? Hey, there it is.
5 to 6.3.
That's right.
6.3 is my sweet spot for my soil.
Sweet spot, but 5 to 6.
6.3 is my sweet spot.
6.3. That's how you do it. And you might have to adjust it. Start with RO. So get your rainwater or your well water tested.
I dechlorinate my tap water. I just use tap water. I let it sit out for 24 hours in the bubbler.
I don't even let it sit out. That's it.
There it is.
Just do it.
By the way, Tracy, if you it's hard to exactly tell your exact problem, but both these guys up here have some. If you connect with either one of them,
yes.
and DM either one of them, V9 Grows 420,
absolutely.
Eric McSwain with MCIA, reach out to either one of those guys. That's what they're here for. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
What is the best way to grow auto seeds?
Oh, pop quiz.
Well,
give me the rundown. Give me like the 30-second version.
Okay, 30-second version. I mean, really, germination. The moment you germinate and pop that seed into it, I would go into a solo cup. Solo cup, 10 days, transplant. From that point on, try to use a soil that's got water only for best results, so you don't have to dial your nutrients in. 1-1 soil is really, really good. Bio blooms really, really good as well. I use that right now. That's just water only. 90 days, 95 days, most autos will finish.
Yep. And
low stress training, and
Yeah, you can play with them. Don't worry about
low
playing
stress
with
training.
them.
Do not top or super crop autos. Well, topping is questionable. I top.
That's right. Well, you got to know.
Topping's questionable.
You got to get a little experience with it.
Just don't super crop autos. You'll stun them because they're already under enough stress as is.
What size pot?
I use 5 gallons.
5 gallon?
I use 5s.
Nice.
I've seen some dude grow some massive autos in hydro. Oh my gosh! Shout out to my boy Chris Petty. He grew a magic melon. Yo.
Was that for the competition?
Oh, I think so. That magic melon was massive. I'm like, unbelievable, yo.
Yep.
Shout out to Chris Petty. That magic melon was massive, yo.
That's right. Now, I've also done it in a 1 gallon. I grew my magic melons in a 1 gallon, a 3 gallon, and they got done on time. Like they said, it was a 65 day.
Really?
I got done in 64 and a half days in the small pots. And it was rough, and the plants didn't look the best. They didn't yield a whole lot. They were only little fellas, little
Was that
girls.
Humboldt seeds?
That was the Humboldt, yeah.
Magic melon?
Yeah.
I figured that sounded like Humboldt seeds.
But normally I grow in like a 4x4 by 14 bed, 120 gallons. You grow 6 autos in that. Oh my goodness.
The whole bed. You got the whole bed going.
You have to get some cosmetic roof lift. You need a roof lift.
Cut your roof off.
You get a roof lift.
Lift on too tall.
So,
man.
How about rainwater? You ever use rainwater before?
I've never used rainwater.
Yeah, we got a question. Nancy, love it.
I've never used rainwater.
So here's what I do. I've grown outside a bit. That's part of our conversation tonight too. Rainwater's good. It's fine. Test it. Okay, because the real question is, what roof are you getting it from?
And what part of town you live in too.
What roof you
Pollution.
getting it from? What town you live in? What's in the air already? Because the
Mm-hmm.
rain's like a filter. It pulls CO2 out of the air. It
Toxins,
it
everything.
forms around a piece of dust. You know, it's pulling stuff out of the air into the water. So get it tested.
Absolutely.
You know, put a dip in it. Typically, your composite roofs are not good. Your asphalt sort of roofs with all the stuff that comes off, that's petroleum. That's no bueno. Okay. Now, if you got a steel roof, that's good, but unless it hadn't rained in a while. If it hadn't rained in a while, you got dust all over your roof. That's
it's been
not
collecting.
good. So let that run off,
And
and
then
then
let it
keep the
in.
water on the You know. So anyway, you just it's not a simple metric either. Now, if you just collected it straight out of the sky, most of the time, most places in Missouri, you're going to be fine. So
That answers your question.
so what about hard water? You
See,
got hard water?
See, hard water is that's extremely
Missouri.
hard water.
That's
Yeah,
Missouri.
my water out
It's
of my tap is like 8.3. I'm like, damn. So I put it in a bubbler, let it sit out for 24 hours. You can just let it sit out for 24 hours without a bubbler. The bubbler kind of speeds it up and gets a lot of that chlorine out of your actual water before you actually give it to your plant, so it doesn't shock
Yeah,
them.
and I don't
nutrient lockout. You
I
wanna
don't
do that to
mind
happen.
hard water too much, as you know, in terms of like the amount of stuff that's in the water. That's when you got really hard waters, when you got all the
Super
stuff
calcium
in there.
and fluoride buildup
Well,
is
right,
crazy.
and most of it comes from the aquifers or from limestone ponds and lakes here in Missouri. And that limestone is a lot of calcium carbonate.
Absolutely.
You know, magnesium.
Magnesium.
Okay, those are the top two things you're going to find in hard water. And what does every hydro grower want to put on there when something goes wrong? Calcium and magnesium. Let me say CalMag. CalMag. I'm just kidding.
I didn't want to say that.
I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, you know, hard water I don't think is much of an issue,
Yeah.
but you got to understand too that
My water ain't soft.
those things are going to build up in your soil over time.
Absolutely.
So you just got to assume that soil's not going to last forever. Okay, it's gonna there's going to be too much of it in there eventually.
Absolutely.
A year tops unless you do some things to.
Unless you re-amend it.
Or you know you could use biochar.
Biochar.
That'll suck some of that stuff out of there.
Absolutely. Biochar is a great, oh my God, biochar is awesome.
You use it?
Oh yeah, I use heck yeah, 30 Hour Games biochar.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, I still
like
use that
'em.
biochar. I've using it for over a year now.
Yep.
Top dress, I hit it with the top dress in flour. As soon as it hits flour, top dress it.
Boom.
Let it go.
Off you go. Biochar.
Off you go, man. It's
What's
wonderful.
up? Pre-charged biochar.
Yes, pre-charged. Can you use vinegar or baking soda to alter your pH? I don't. You can. I don't. I mean, because vinegar's a base. I mean, baking soda is an acid. So I'm sure you can use lemon juice, lime juice.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I don't. I don't have a real preference. I think
I don't either.
Ascorbic acid,
Yeah.
like was that vitamin C?
Vitamin C.
That's a
Yep.
good natural pH up. pH down. I guess baking soda would
Baking
work.
soda.
But it adds a lot of solids to the water. You know, so I don't know. I don't do a lot of natural pH buffering. I'll just, you know, be real honest that I'm not an expert in this area.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But there's a lot of different products.
I just
and,
use pH up, pH
and you
down,
might come down to somebody you trust here, like at Happy Rock Farms. They'll tell you what's what. They got the people.
pH down, pH
Just saying.
up.
So what do we got here? So how?
Sorry,
Clay, what you got?
I have a question. I know there may be another one up there, but I have a question for you, just like a storytelling question, like for LaVaughn. Actually, what was? Do you have like a lesson that sticks out in mind from your moment, from your from starting to now?
Oh yes, I do.
Like, what's the biggest? Either the biggest or maybe the funniest story or whatever. Like, give us a good story about the progress to where you're at now.
Oh man, well. First, I'm gonna touch on the biggest thing that you may not want to do when you start this journey. I would definitely not overthink it. Don't overthink it. Like you don't want to spend every waking moment with your plants. I actually have people who do that. I'm like, you don't need to do that.
Keeps them up at night.
You don't need to do that.
Is it easy?
Like, and checking on it every hour on the hour, especially when it's in flower. You do that, you'll harm your plant because you're giving it light. Sometimes when you don't need to give it light.
So you can love them to death.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't just don't overthink it. Like don't overthink it. Like really just like do your research. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, as far as a funny story on something that happened during my journey, I can give you that one really easily. My very first grow. So I did that very thing, overthinking it. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what happened with that one. So I basically gave my plant the newts were way too hot because I overthought exactly what I was told and thinking that, okay, my plants aren't getting big enough, quote unquote. And I'm like, oh, and I did this in flower. This happened in flower, burned my plants in flower. Had to flush, and I that's straight water, straight clean water. As clean as you can get it, pH 6.3, just water. For about a week and a half. Water, flushing everything I just got and just burned out of it. So your plants have to recover now because now they're in the flower, so time is really against them because you don't want to flower too long. So I did this in flower, not in veg. Had it happened in veg, I'd have had a little more time to repair.
Right.
Flower, you don't.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, so a lot of people I know are morons, and that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Okay. That just means that you get something, you see something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna put this on. And then you find something else, you're gonna put more on, and I'm gonna
That's
put
exactly
more
what I did.
on, and I'm gonna put more on. That's what you did, right? You're just, it's fine.
That's exactly
Me
what
too.
I did.
Me too. So, but people want to pump them up. How do you pump them up? Like, is that a matter of nutrients, or is there something else?
There's a lot of different ways you can go about that. Phosphorus, of course, in the flower phase is best. That's why when you look at your nutrients, your bloom usually has a higher phosphorus number. So that's those 3 numbers that you guys see on the bottles. That's the NPK, the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium numbers. So that middle number is that phosphorus. When you see that number being higher than the other 2, you know that it's designed for flower, in the flower phase. So you want to use something that has a nice little kick on the flower phase as far as phosphorus goes to give you that extra boost in the flower stage. You don't want to do that too much in the veg stage unless you're late in the veg stage. You can start it, but don't give it too much in the veg stage.
Now, do you add stuff as you go along in your grow?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So you top dress it, maybe.
Top dress it with some biochar. I'll throw. I use some veg bloom shine additive. It's literally designed for the bloom phase. That's actually a line that's specifically designed for cannabis. 100%. You ain't got to cut your measurements in half. None of that stuff. Do exactly what the bottle tells you.
You scratch it on there.
It's dope. I was like, wow.
It works.
But actually, that I actually put in my water and I mix it. But my biochar, I just put it on top.
Got you.
Yeah, that
Got
you
you.
can
And
mix
then
it
you
with.
water through it.
Water through it.
Yep.
Throw some Rhizinova in there, some microbes. Boom.
Yep. I like
Make it readily available
I like
right
it.
there.
That carbon can be like a hotel for your microbes and nutrients, just like condo. They party, you know.
Natural,
it's cool.
man. It's biochar.
It's cool.
It's
cool.
natural charred
It's
wood,
cool.
man.
Now be careful, guys, because I used to make my soil with biochar that was uncharged, so it was very fresh. Okay, and what that does is it will pull nutrients and whatnot out of your soil and lock that away from your plant at first.
Absolutely.
Because you've really got to spend some time charging it up before the biochar does any good. Now that can be a good thing if you're putting a lot of harsh water on top of your soil, because it's going to lock that up too.
Heck yeah.
So, but
it's a filter.
You just want to be a little careful. You want to be a little bit
understand,
careful.
Biochar is still a filter, you guys. It still filters.
Right.
So it's still filtering out toxins if need be.
Yep.
He nailed it. Eric nailed it.
Do you reuse your soil too?
Yes, I do.
How many times? Like over and over, unlimited, what?
I kind of use it over and over, but I'll re-amend.
Yeah.
I re-amend with some mycorrhiza, some worm castings, and biochar. Use it as a base. I use it as a base soil. I don't use it as a finished soil. It's simply a base. And that's actually, if you're gonna reuse your soil, just reuse it as a base. You don't want to, unless the first 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 times you can, and re-amend it with everything. But once it's been used that much, just use it as a good base soil for like small plants, like seedlings and young plants, until you transplant them into a bigger plot until their final resting place.
Yep. I'd say the same thing. You might get good living soil, and there's recipes online. If you start off with the dank that they sell here, you could probably get, the dank has biochar in it too.
Yes,
so
it does.
If you got
I got 2 bags of that.
If you got biochar in it, you're going to get maybe 18 months out of that soil, even with just tap water, before you start to have issues.
That's crazy.
But I would say after about a year, you're going to want to start to watch your plants. If there's problems you can't diagnose, there's imbalances in the soil that can happen, I would go ahead and throw it out and start over.
Just some dank dust.
Add some dank dust.
Well, you could definitely put the dank dust on there. That's going to work. It'll
no doubt
stretch out that life.
Lighting per square foot.
Yeah, what do you use for lighting? I mean, is there a certain number you go by for a certain size? I mean, how do you work it out?
Well, personally, I use Cali Grow lights. They're quantum boards. I have an 800 watt light in my 5x5, and it's a bar light, so it pretty much it's good for light spread. It covers my entire 5x5 end to end and some. I could easily run a 7x7 and it cover it in the end.
Yep.
But you definitely want to make sure that you got the right light spread. Light spread is just as important as light depth. So if your light's not going to reach the end of your grow area, you're going to lose some yield on your plants that are way on the outside. So make sure that when you get the right lights, make sure they cover your area in flower. So when you're looking at lights, and make sure you look at the coverage area in flower only, because you're only going to worry about your
footprint.
flower. Exactly, your flower footprint. That's the most important thing you want to look at. So if you have a 4x4 tent, make sure that the lights that you have, whether it be 1, 2, or however many, cover your 4x4 footprint in flower, not just in veg.
That's right.
Because your veg coverage is going to be much wider than your flower coverage.
Yep. And you can't just go by what the manufacturer says.
Absolutely, do it.
You gotta
test yourself.
You gotta look at the PAR map, right? There's a map they have of the intensities that reach all portions.
Photosynthesis radiation,
if you want to light up a 4x4, but on the PAR map you see it fading out real bad on the sides, you're not covering it. You're just losing all that.
Man,
it's all going to be boof.
Exactly,
it's
man.
all, I mean.
So when you guys look at those PAR meters, those PAR readings on those lights, make sure you check to see that if the outside numbers are like 150 or like 200, then you know you're not going to get any good yield on your plants that are way out there. Like if they're like 400 or maybe higher, you're going to get moderate to great. But if it's like 600, oh yeah, you're pretty much good.
Yep.
Because I mean, the closer you're going to get to the middle, it's going to get higher. So that's good.
Yep. 600 is about what I shoot for a light that goes all the way through the grow cycle, all the way through flower. If you're going to want to use CO2 or you want to get crazy later on, you're going to want up to maybe 1,000.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, per
CO2
square foot,
in
1,000 ppfd.
Man,
throw some CO2 in there.
If you don't got CO2 in it, guess what's going to happen? That high PAR is going to suck the CO2 out of the air.
Yep.
Your plants can't absorb any CO2 because they absorb what we breathe out, but we can't breathe in our tents all day long. So you use CO2 systems, CO2 exhale bags, and boom, there you go.
Yep. Or you got to recirculate it good with the house.
Recirculate it good.
So, but that's okay because I have a couple lights that they'll crank out like 1,600 ppfd. Well, I end up running them at like 75% most of the time. You know what I mean?
Man, wow.
That's just too much. That's
a lot.
The July sunlight outside, you know, tying in with our outdoor growing, in the middle of the day in July around here, you're going to get about 1,700 ppfd.
That's actually amazing,
and in July and August, guess what your plants are going to be doing when they're getting that much at 1 or 2 in the afternoon? Your plants are going to go like this. I mean, they're going to get their fill. That is a lot of light, especially when it's hot, you know, because it's 90 degrees outside in the summer. Those plants are going to be like, oh, crap, this is too much.
This is intense.
Literally, if, you know, in the middle of summer, a little bit of shade isn't going to hurt them at all because it's brutal. So that's, you know, too much light's a thing. Another solution for too much light's just to pull it up further.
Absolutely.
You know, inverse square law is what that obeys, and so for every foot you move it away, it's half the intensity of the light. So if you got to raise the roof.
Hey.
You might run out of room to grow right up in the light. But
cut that roof off. That's
right. That's right. A little cosmetic roof.
Do not do that.
No,
That was a joke.
no, for real.
Do not cut the top of your tent.
For real.
Man, outdoor growing is really, really unique. I've never experimented in outdoor growing, but you have this is your area. So tell me like what kind of the pros and cons are to outdoor growing.
So the bad news is it's out there.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you don't have a good
if that's
spot,
the bad news, I can't wait to hear the good news.
It's out there. Like anybody can see it if you're not careful.
True.
And there's rules, right? You got to put up a fence.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be affixed to the ground. You got to prevent entry from the top of that fence.
Absolutely.
You can't be visible from the neighbor's property from any
Absolutely.
point in their house, any window.
So how do you condition that? Like how do you set that up? I've seen some operators. And I'm like, aren't there rules where you can't have certain things a certain height, and how do you facilitate that exactly?
All right. So here's what we did. There was a cat I know in St. Louis, and he wanted to do an outside grow, and he's got neighbors like all around him. We finally agreed. He didn't have a big backyard either. So what we eventually did was built him a greenhouse tent. So it's like a 5x5. Went out to Home Depot, got those, greenhouse panels. They aren't too expensive. Cut them all up. Made a door, put a lock on it. It's translucent, so you can't see what's in there, right?
That's a good idea.
But he had to put a fan on it because that's hot.
Heck yeah.
Okay, and we ended up cutting windows along the top to, just to let some of that hot air out.
Absolutely.
But out of that one 5x5, he made 2.5 pounds. Okay, so you can only keep 12. We keep that in mind. But he kept the best 12 ounces out of all that.
Wow, that's amazing.
He made quite a bit, and so it's for him that was good. It worked. There was only one of them. One plant isn't that bad. You got to really worry about odor when you're outside,
Absolutely.
especially in an urban environment. If people can smell it, they're going to come.
They're going to come or complain.
I mean, if you're driving down the road with somebody and you see a skunk on the road and they're like, "That smells good," bro, he's gonna come around your house too, okay? Because he'll be looking for that skunk in your backyard. It's a big deal. But with one plant, it's not that bad. The 2.5 pound plant, that was pretty stanky. But for a lot of people, just a half pound or 12 ounces in a structure like that, it's doable, feasible. You can manage it. It doesn't stink that bad, and at the end of the year, you're going to be happy. You'll at least get to New Year's.
Now tell me something. So with outdoor growing, of course, the biggest advantage is the low energy cost.
I'm telling you. I
mean, we're using the most abundant energy source on the planet, the sun.
Yep. No, that's true.
So like what kind of, I guess, like, how do you regulate that when you want to flip your plants to flower? Because I mean, I've heard different methods. Put a tarp over and then do this. You can have a rolling roof. I've heard so many different stories about outdoor growing. I've never actually seen it. I've seen video, but never actually heard it from someone who actually does it. So.
Yeah, for the average outdoor grower, you're just going to want to put them out and let them do their thing. Just don't worry about light deprivation.
I've heard people say that. I'm like, wow.
Don't worry about all that whenever you're first getting started. And I don't use light dep either. I do a few tricks in the spring when I bring clones out, but that's a different matter. Otherwise, I'd start from seed and start them outdoors on 420 this year. 420? It's just a minute away. It's like, what, 2 months away now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you better be planning, okay? You're going to need to get ready.
I'm planning on being Chronicalooza. That's what I'm planning.
That's what's up. But you put them in on 420.
420.
You put them in under the sun. They come up June 21st. The nights start getting longer. And the plant goes, But because you're outdoors and it's only by a couple minutes every day, it takes them a while. But by mid to late July, you're starting to see flowers, okay?
They're like, hey, it's time to start.
So you just let them do their thing. You just let them do their thing. For a Missouri grower, I'd recommend looking at your genetics. Get something decent that's outside, something that's going to flower in about 55 days or less. Okay. If it's a wet fall, 60 days runs you into the second week October, and it just might all rot away. And you're going to have to plan for some loss when you're outside because there's bugs and there's mold and all these things are in the air. It's all around us. Nothing you're going to put on there is going to completely stop them.
The challenges of growing outdoor.
I just plan on throwing half of it away, and that's okay. There's still plenty.
I love this conversation, by the way, and I got a question about it. So do you think that there's some sort of metaphysical or actual scientifical difference on that outdoor, for a plant surviving through the elements without the natural surroundings, right? And the medicinal properties that may inhibit, that's different than an actual indoor plant. Based on that outdoor survival, or do you think there's something there?
Well, terpene loss is already going to happen with outdoor. So
that's every day.
That's gonna happen. Period.
90 degrees.
Which is why most folks grow indoors to preserve the terpenes. So and terpenes are just as much as medicine as THC, CBD, CBN, CBG, because that's a euphoric feeling. That's the creative buzz. That's the focus. So.
But even if it's something that the plant through survival picks up something from its insects or something that its predators that it keeps from coming in, or all those things from the natural survival of the plant outdoors.
What I do know for sure,
medicinal properties somehow.
I'm sure it is.
What I do know for sure is that stress introduced at the right points during growing can change the cannabinoids. It can change the the terpene content. If you wait till a nice cool day in October to let it rebuild its terpene content, you get all that back. It's not always blown away when you're outside. It's only if you harvest wrong, right? So nice couple cool days, boom, harvest it, you're good. I grew a cut of Orange Kush, one of my favorite. Yum. I've grown it indoors multiple times, and I've grown it outdoors a couple of years now. And outdoors, it's a different animal. Well, no, I mean indoors, it's a different animal. Well, but anyway, it grows different in the two spots, and I mean different by a lot.
Wow.
A lot. Outside, it smells more like an orange pledge. It's got that sort of chemical thing underneath it. It's a lot fluffier and airier.
Like
You can almost see through it. You know what I mean? It just kind of it blows up. Indoors, it's it's pretty tight, not super tight, but about what you want. And it's a little bit more of an orange candy and a little bit less orange fuel. So I don't know, maybe a bitter orange rind, sour at times. So yeah.
When's the best time to get good CBG? I'd say harvest early, as early as possible. That's the first cannabinoid that gets created in cannabis, period. So everything derives from CBG.
Yep.
The earlier the harvest, the more CBG you're going to get.
Yep.
What do you think? I mean, what are your thoughts?
No, that's exactly right.
I'm
All the other cannabinoids that have been studied, and there's a lot that haven't, all start with CBG. That is the precursor cannabinoid, CBGA. The acidic version, in fact, that's the precursor to THC, CBD, delta 9, delta 8, CBC, CBD,
CBN,
EI, EIO, all of them, man. You know what I'm saying? All of them. So harvest early before it converts.
What about CO2 bombs? I've never heard of a CO2 bomb.
bombs.
You ever heard of a CO2 bomb? I've never heard of that. I've never heard of CO2 bombs. I use the exhale bags, and they last about a good 6-7 months. And you can just hang it in your tent. I've never heard of the bombs. Almost like a roach bomb. You and run over. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard of it either, but I did get a CO2 monitor. Just the monitor, right? I was like, let's just spend some money, get the monitor, see what we need. And what I found out in my basement, I run a propane water heater. And just the byproduct of those
it's giving
boosts my CO2.
It's giving you the CO2 you need.
I can watch my monitor when I come down into the room and work for a while. The CO2 can bump by 100 parts per million. Just by me being present. So the shadow of the farmer, bro. I'm just get in there.
Get in where you fit in.
Get in there. Breathe
and
on
pump up
them
the
a
power.
little bit.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Okay, what do we got here? What's the best seed to grow for energy, or something to keep you up? What's a good variety to keep you up and
personally,
going?
My a really good early start smoke is Blue Dream. It's a great wake and bake. Green Crack is another one if you want a lot of energy. Green Crack. It'll make you creative. It'll get you going. Sour Diesel is also another one, but don't go too crazy on Sour Diesel. If you overdo Sour Diesel, it'll give you the opposite of what you're looking for. So you're like, uh-oh.
That's right.
Yeah. So Green Crack is a good one. It's a really, really good strain for energy and focus and being creative and just ready to go. I would go with Green Crack. What do you think? That's my preference.
Yeah, it's gonna be an individual experience, man. You're gonna have to experiment. A lot of people are gonna like what's traditionally known as a sativa, Durban poison. I don't put much to that because everything's a hybrid these days. Pretty much. So I tend to stick with low THC and something that's got more CBD. Like the stuff I have tonight's 3-to-1 THC CBD.
That's good.
And I like that in the morning or before we're gonna go on air. That way I can kind of keep a clear head and keep going, and I don't feel like I just want to melt into this chair. I just
woke up, but I want to relax.
That's for me. Do you have a preferred soil whenever you grow autos? You talked about growing
I've been experimenting with soil, so I don't have a preference at this moment. I'm still experimenting. I've used a few other soils that were just water. I've used Sohum. Not a fan. To be honest, not a fan. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I've used a couple of other ones that I've had some problems with, but the only one I've had success with so far is the one I'm using right now. And I've gave it nothing but dechlorinated tap water the entire time, the whole 87 days. And I'm about to harvest it on Tuesday.
Yep.
So I don't have a preference right now. I'd say experiment, do your research. Read reviews. It's really, really important. If you can find someone who's growing the same soil you want to use, look them up on YouTube and see what their progress is. That's all I did. I check people's progress and I read the comments and I find out if that person's reputable or not, because you can pretty much tell who you're dealing with based on watching their videos a lot. You'll tell if their integrity is going to be on point. So I just kind of based that off of who I watched, and what they gave me and their product was consistent. So I pretty much knew what they were going to give me was going to be consistent.
Yep. Yeah, man. And the last time I did auto grows, I actually wanted to run soils. That was sort of the purpose of it. I had different sized pot in there as well, but I don't count that one. But I ran a 1-1 from Happy Rock.
Definitely got to try that one.
I ran So-Hum. So-Hum was a little hot, but that may be for the variety that I was growing.
Not a fan.
Some varieties like it a little warmer. And then I ran my soil.
Mine wasn't hot enough because my news ran out in 45 days.
Is that right?
Done.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that.
Done.
But anyway, you know, they all did pretty good. I like the 1-1, and I like my soil, Lit Farmer soil recipe. Look that up. That's what I use pretty much for everything. It's worked out pretty good.
Gotta check that out, man.
Yeah,
I'm interested. I'm willing to experiment. I want to try air because I want to see. I don't want to see who's the best of the best. I don't think there's any one soil that's the best of the best. But I think I want to try something that's tailored to me and give our Missouri consumers something that's as tailored to them is going to work. Yep. Not something that's going to work, but you got to do extra work here, you got to do extra work there. Some people want simplicity because our lives are busy sometimes. Yep. So we want to just come in, give it some water, and not have to mix news because you got 3 kids upstairs. You see what I'm saying? Or you got, you see what I'm saying? People have lives.
I'm over it.
People have lives.
I'm over life.
I'm just saying.
I just want to grow, you know what I mean? It's fine.
We still have lives, you know?
It's fine. Yeah, and that recipe that I mentioned, the Lit Farmer soil recipe, that is something that you're going to have to get all the parts together and mix. A lot of people don't have that space though, because it does take space, and you got to cook it, and you got to do these things before you can even plan in it. Off the shelf, it's probably 1-to-1. Maybe
Definitely.
So-Hum is a distant second. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about outside. There's a couple things I do want to cover. It's February. You need to start getting ready now. You know, and if you're a hemp farmer, by the way, you can reach out to us at MCIA. We know the people who can get you rocking if you want to grow some hemp. But I'm going to tell you, if you haven't already planned your hemp farm for the summer, you're probably late.
You're already behind.
Okay, because all the seeds are sold. You know, the people are booked for next month. You know, April for planting. You know, you're kind of behind, but you can run your own test plot. Now, whenever you're outside, you're going to want to find a good spot for that. If you have room out in the country, or if you know somebody who lives in the country, you can grow on them if they're okay with it. Okay, you still got to set up some fences by the book. We can get you some instruction on how to set up those fences, set up the garden, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your property. You just have to have permission to do it. Okay, right. But you're going to want to do it back away from any kind of roads. It's going to stink. People are going to come fishing around. Okay, so go ahead and get back up in there. And then the other thing you're going to want to do, if you take that approach and you're not on your own property, remember you're not going to be able to visit that every day. Okay, so if you want to bust out containers and put some soil in it and grow, not going to work. Not going to work. Because you're going to have to water it twice a day in the middle of July.
Heck yeah.
Okay?
Hot and dry.
So just don't. Just don't. Instead, you want to amend your soil in the dirt. You know, build up the soil that's already there so that the plants can get deep, and that's what's going to drought-proof them over the summer. I don't irrigate whatsoever. Maybe if it's a super, super tough year, but last year I didn't have to put a drop in the soil. Year before was the same thing because I've amended the soil way down into my clay. A lot of clay here in Missouri. Added all kinds of amendments, you know, perlite, rice hulls, peat moss, cocoa. I mean, it's all in there, and you know, tons of literally yards and yards of compost and topsoil out of the bottoms, and it's all combined so that it makes a nice transition down into the soil, and the plants can get real deep and they can drink long into the summer. So something to think about. Drought proof them, and then after that, solid genetics, man. Solid genetics. I like
people overlook that a lot.
I like my Cali growers out in Northern California. It's similar to Missouri. We're a little more humid here, but you know, they've got a lot of experience in the Emerald Triangle, growing some outdoor, growing dry farming is what it's called when you don't irrigate. Look out there for some of those genetics, something that's proven to grow outdoors, proven to finish early. That's what you're going to look for. If you use bag seed, it could be like, you know, some cool Jamaican stuff or Hawaiian stuff.
It ain't gonna survive that climate.
It may never finish flying.
It ain't gonna survive.
It'd be like Thanksgiving. You're like,
because it's not designed for it. It's not tailor made for it.
That's right. That's right. Does anybody have any specific questions on outdoor growing? This is sort of a last chance. We're going to want to close it up here soon. We've had a lot of good content tonight.
It's been really great, man.
I'm telling you.
It's been dope.
You going to come back and see us?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I expect so.
Come on, now. Why would I not?
I'm going to hold you down to that.
Come on, man. It's fun.
I
love kicking with my people, man. Just learning something and getting good information out to people as far as like whether it be can of convict stuff, whether it be outdoor growing, indoor growing, minority inclusion. I love just spreading the word, regardless of what it is.
And now, how can people get a hold of you? What's your channel? What you got going on?
You guys can check me out on Facebook, V9 Grows 420. You can actually go to my website, v9grows420.com. All of my social media links on our Instagram, YouTube, Cannabis, Facebook, same name, everywhere. Merch is live, grow lights, grow packages, everything. So.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it, man.
That's how we do it. We're getting them growing.
And don't forget Chronic Palooza. I'll be at Chronic Palooza.
He'll be there in just a minute. My name's Eric McSwain. I'm with the Missouri Cannabis Industry Association. So happy to be bringing this to you tonight. We've got a really good certified caregiver program.
Yes.
We love turning patients into cultivators and cultivators into caregivers so that they can make more patients and cultivators and caregivers. It's a process.
Rinse and repeat, baby.
Let's do it, man.
Rinse and repeat. I like it.
Let's give it to everybody, man. Let's bring it to the people. What do you think?
I appreciate you, brother.
What do you think, Clay?
Let's do it.
You gonna take us home tonight?
Let's do it.
Will, totally take us home. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here tonight.
Man, no problem at all.
I wish. Thank you. Thanks for the claps in the audience tonight. We got 2 people here. Thank you so much, LaVaughn. You're awesome, by the way.
I appreciate it.
He's built for camera. Hope NBC or CBS is watching tonight.
I would go
deserves his own show over here.
I mean, it'd be dope to do. It'd be dope. I mean,
no, I'm serious. Like,
it would be.
This is just a catalyst. I hope it's a catalyst. But you're natural on camera. Thanks so much for being here tonight, brother.
I appreciate you.
That's why he developed the audience. He developed teaching his home grow show. And if you have any questions, they're both valid people. As well as Happy Rock Farms. Chris Dalton's in the audience tonight. If you have questions, you can come up to Happy Rock Farms, ask him the questions as well.
To see his brother that off. It was always a pleasure to see him.
Yeah, beautiful people. And also Chris Smith, Can of Comic Project. I'm not sure if he's still here or not. I can't. Right on. And then Cat King Films behind the camera. Thanks so much, Cat, for helping out tonight. Of course, James Thomas, all your production needs you need in the state. He will help you out with all of those things. He is the mastermind behind this whole thing. So thanks so much. Next week, we're going to be at Relief Resources Dispensary, broadcasting live there with Doc Mac, and then Josh Ordo, their manager there. We're going to meet a few patients. We're going to chime in with some of the. He's going to chime in with some of the past things that he's been doing. He's been a great influence on the industry. Doc Mac's had a big impact on his local community. So it's nice to see dispensaries that have ownership that's or people involved in that process that are involved in the community. So thanks again, Chris Smith. He's taking a picture of me right now.
Keep the finger up.
We love you guys. See you next Thursday from Relief Resources. Peace.
Come back.